Okay, so just recently, YouTube has started to roll out the big A/B test feature for titles on YouTube videos. Now, we've seen this in the past, for those who don't know, on thumbnails, which is that if you have 3 different thumbnails for your video, or if you have more than one thumbnail for your video, you can upload them all at once, and YouTube will randomly choose between them and for every individual person. And then whichever one leads to the most watch time will be the one that YouTube selects as the one that actually shows on your video. I think you can do this, several times, an unlimited number of times. And it's very useful, in my opinion, for thumbnails. I've done this on my channel many times before. First thing I'm curious about is what your thoughts are about the thumbnail version of this. And then second of all, I'm curious about your reaction to the title version of this as well, because I feel like it's a big change on YouTube. Just what are your general reactions, or what is the sort of feeling that you have about the A/B test on titles?
Well, my first thought would be it's always innovative and creative and probably something worth exploring for YouTube to do this. And if they think it's a good idea, it's actually something you should explore, because you never know what title is going to be best. And you always could only choose one title, but that's also what made you great as a creator, right? You had to upload enough to kind of find out. Now you can kind of do it in real time with this single upload. So worth doing. But going back to your first question about the thumbnails, what I think about that, same thing, A/B testing, one completely different picture from another for the same video, and then YouTube's algorithm kind of like puts it out differently. I'd say on the creator side, it's still a little bit split. I know, like you just said, it's worth testing. I use it sometimes, but I have other creator friends that just swear against it. They think it actually ruins a video. It's hard to know which is correct, because guess what? That person that swears against it, one of the most successful creators I personally know. So I trust their instinct on it.
What do you think it is that is making those people who are against it say that they don't trust something like
because
that?
Their gut always gives them a good idea of what content is going to do well, and that A/B testing, when used, has derailed that gut feeling more times than not.
Because it's kind of like a crutch, is what you're saying.
Yeah, and that's one of the hard things to teach, because naturally, because analytics are available to everybody and there's a lot of data, you would think that that would be the way to lead, but this is still a creative endeavor. So it's a language that is unteachable. You kind of have to earn it, and that gut feeling you have to make decisions on the creative work. So most of the time in the video itself, it's not something you can read or even be like take in a class. It just comes from, like a lot of time doing it, especially because every creator, every community and channel, right? And every type of content is all going to be different. Like what works and what doesn't work. I'll give you an example with the thumbnail and how this could maybe negatively affect titles. When it's all said and done, the thing about YouTube and their team is they're always trying to make the platform better, and they're also trying to make creators' lives better. So the platform, just a better user experience. So they come up with these different ideas, tools, or functions, then deploy them. Also, they're like, hey, if creators like this, if it helps them succeed more or whatever, that should also benefit us, YouTube and this platform. What they always maybe underrate is what ultimately does the audience think. Now, YouTube's good about always reading that data. In fact, guess what? Sometimes there's functions or tools that they release that the audience doesn't really care about, and guess what? They get rid of them, or you kind of like forget about them. They're a distant memory, and then one day they're just kind of gone. And thumbnails is a good example. So me as a user, when I see somebody's video get published, I understand, because I'm paying attention to YouTube more than the average. I'll notice when the thumbnails change. Back in the day, it was only a handful of creators that was doing it actively themselves. I know vidIQ and what was the other one? There was a competitor to vidIQ. I forgot the name already. TubeBuddy, right? They had the thumbnail testing in.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah.
So now we know YouTube's using it. And I know when the thumbnail's changing, when the A/B thumbnail, and it sometimes is annoying because I don't know if that's the same video. So I'll put it in watch later, and then it goes in my watch later playlist. And then later on I go and it's a different thumbnail. Now I'm starting to learn So as a viewer, when you start learning, there's this function trying to maybe work you or
Yeah,
test
okay.
you. You're like adverse to it. You're kind of like
Like it's trying to
protective.
squeeze the stone too hard. in a certain
Exactly.
sense.
Yeah. It's this weird thing
Yeah.
when you feel like a guinea pig.
Yeah.
Like, literally, that's what you feel like.
Literally.
Like, am I going to pick this one or am I going to pick this one? It's like,
Which one's shinier?
exactly. So then I'm like, okay, I got it, whatever. That's just me. I'm a anecdotal example, but I find probably it relates to a lot of people's experiences. So they're still using it. So obviously it's working to a certain degree. My point is this. If that's how I feel about thumbnails, how will I feel about titles? That would be super confusing. See, an image is, you can remember it. With titles, especially if you do a completely different angle, to completely different title, and then if you mix in a different thumbnail, I believe it could be annoying for the viewer. So ultimately, it doesn't matter what I think or creators think or what YouTube thinks. Definitely nothing against a product team. But I actually don't give a rat's ass what they ultimately think, feel, or believe.
Yeah.
It's all about, I think part of it is what creators believe and what their instinct is. But ultimately, it's the viewers, right? Is it going to make for a better viewing experience? Are they going to be annoyed and maybe it taints like their perspective of the platform?
Yeah.
Or is it going to make it better and they love it more? That's what I look at. So when I have my own experience, I'm like, oh, they're using A/B testing. This is annoying. I don't want to see this. I already put it in my watch later. Like, I'm more forgiving when it's the same thumbnail and it pops up again. It's like, okay, cool. So I scroll past it.
Yeah.
I don't like slow down the scroll and look at it. I guess that's what they're trying to get me to do,
Yes,
is like
exactly.
re-look at it.
Yeah.
But ultimately, at the end of the day, would you really watch a video because the thumbnail is different? Like, you wouldn't think, oh, it's a better thumbnail, and then what? That's my belief. I don't think people like, this is such a better thumbnail, now I'm gonna finally watch it. People watch videos. I think this goes to my theme or my thesis right now. They watch videos based off of what they want to watch and they're interested in, but also, is it the right time for them? So especially for long form,
Yes.
It's not like because this thumbnail is more hooky or because like I'm interested in this topic, I'll watch it. I actually believe like, hey, this is a 30-minute video. I think of Johnny Harris, and I don't have 30 minutes. I only have 3 minutes.
Yes.
So I'm going to watch short or a shorter video or a longer video that I don't really care about. I'm going to save this for later. So it all depends. And I think the title, it's still 50-50. It's worth testing. Why not? Because what if it helps you perform? But then the question is, well, what happens to all the other creators whose videos don't get views because they're not testing it out, and these other ones? It kind of mixes things up. So get ready for a little bit of a like not necessarily churn. It's definitely gonna mix things up ultimately, and it's going to make so that the viewing experience is a little different.
Yeah, I mean, I hadn't thought about it that way, but really this feature, actually both of the A/B test features, are a lot more creator friendly than they are viewer friendly in that regard.
Exactly.
It's kind of what you're saying. That's the angle. But let me make the case. I'm just going to play devil's advocate here for the other side of things. And I'll start by kind of quoting this section that explains it. So it says, YouTube just started experimenting with A/B tests for video titles, and Side Studios Test and Compare, the same place that you've been testing thumbnails. It's a limited rollout for a small percentage of creators right now, but it's the clearest sign yet that YouTube wants native packaging tests beyond thumbnails. Packaging, we'll come back to that. For context, thumbnail testing shipped earlier this year and lets you run up to 3 variants with winners chosen by watch time share, something else we'll come back to. YouTube's way of rewarding not just clicks, but whether the audience actually sticks. Title tests plug into that same framework. So what's new is the title layer. What's not new is the emphasis on watch time over click-through rate, which means that this isn't a clickbait free-for-all. Expect staggered access to YouTube access while YouTube irons out the workflow and analytics. If you see title experiments in Studio, you've got it. Otherwise, it's coming. And so what I wanted to highlight here is that in this little clip here that I just read is that idea of the watch time over click-through rate. So it's really, so if I was going to make the argument for the other side of the coin, that
For the creator.
that is not just a creator-friendly thing, that it's a viewer-friendly thing, which is that YouTube believes, and this is just generally true, that watch time is the best metric for measuring viewer satisfaction, right? If you're going to optimize for one thing, you're going to optimize for watch time. That means that from YouTube's perspective, that if you choose the right title and thumbnail combination that makes viewers watch for longer because it better represents the video, it's more intriguing to them, it has the right combination of things, that it's possible that it's actually also better for the viewer too.
At the end of the day, I would agree with you that it's worth exploring, like I said in the beginning, and it probably will be worth utilizing when it's all said and done, because guess what else I do as a creator? I'll change the title sometimes.
Yeah.
Because there's two angles you can go. You can go like very descriptive with the title where you say just what it is, because maybe you're trying to rank, right? Or you're trying to be attached to a certain interest that people are searching for,
Yes.
or they're doing the what do you call it? The rabbit hole deep dive into that topic. And then there's the emotional one, which is going to be more universal. It's going to trigger the like emotions, like you're curious or you're fearful. Johnny Harris again is really good at that. Like oftentimes he will, make the choice. I'm gonna go for the thing that is most bombastic, no pun intended, it's like nuclear bomb, right? And make you want it, versus something a little bit more kind of nerdy, you know, something like somebody that's into geopolitics would lean into. And for my videos, which are not as like produced, definitely not as complex, I'm just going shopping at Costco. And a good example is sometimes do I go with the angles like a dad with 3 of his kids shopping for groceries? Or do I go like, this is how much $500 bought a family of 7?
Yeah.
You see, they're totally different angles.
Exactly.
And sometimes because I've never had this choice, I just pick one. Ultimately, we all have to pick a title. And back in the day, they always said changing your title is like the worst thing ever. Did you know that?
No.
In the days of ranking, we're talking anywhere from the 2010 all the way to, I'd say all the way to maybe 2017.
Really?
Changing your title was a big no-no. It was also a way to, I forgot, re-index. Does that make sense? Re-index your video.
This is fascinating.
This is a terminology I'm not even that familiar. Sean's the one that told me.
Yeah.
So we just kind of made the decision, do not change your title. So really think it through from the beginning of ideation to recording to editing, and you should have this title, because remember the strategy was ranking. So you'd want to have keywords inside your title, not only for the person, but also for the algorithm, because at one point, all that mattered in terms of words, because there was a day, guys, we used to use tags. Tags were everything. I remember you'd game it. And then guess where else you'd put tags? You put in the description. But what happened was, as time went on, none of those mattered as much as the title keywords.
Yeah.
So if you were to put those and then you change the title, it could potentially re-index. That might have been good. Guess what? It's funny now. I'm like maybe realizing why I changed my title, because say your video wasn't performing and there was another title you should have used. It was a chance to re-index or kind of like get it back into the feed.
Yeah.
The downside was, say it was doing well, or say the algorithm was taking a while to like get it on track, you're derailing the work of that algorithm. Now, this is getting really into the weeds.
Yes.
But these are things that creators obsessed about of not to do. And that's why it's interesting now how like a decade later from when at its peak, now you get the option to try 2 different titles.
Exactly.
And so why I'm changing titles might go all the way back to that. So sometimes I'll put out a video. I'm like, it's not doing what I think. It's that gut feeling. Remember I told you that creator that doesn't like thumbnail A/B testing?
Yes.
That gut feeling, this isn't going to sound pretentious, but it's completely true. We know more than the product people at YouTube what actually works, because we live this day in and day out. It's not like a clock in, clock out thing. And even though they look at data and they work on the product and ultimately they're probably kind of reading the audience, you know what they don't know? They don't know our audience. They don't know the people that we speak to as much. The behaviors are different. Somebody that's 65 years old, a female that's completely retired, sitting at home, is going to view their YouTube feed completely different, maybe on a totally different device, and have a whole different behavior, versus a 25-year-old that's a complete tech whiz, that's like understands the algorithm, that's obsessed with Apple and all these like devices, would totally know how to navigate not just the platform, but the algorithm.
Yeah.
So you're adjusting your strategy as a creator based off of them specifically.
Yes.
The product team, they have to think about it universally. They're not thinking about it just within this niche and a certain audience and your audience. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So that's why creators, no matter what tools and abilities you have as a channel.
In terms of like the studio.
The studio have available to you, you always have to make your decision because nobody knows and nobody's making the videos for your audience the way you are.
Yeah.
And if you understand them, you understand what you should use and what you should not use. And this is why, going back to your whole like maybe argument or response to that guy that doesn't like A/B thumbnail testing, it's different for every creator, every channel, every community, audience.
Because what if it's made up of a bunch of people like you who are very attuned to watching? Like, let's say you are a channel that's all about YouTube and your audience knows that you're all about YouTube, and they're the type of people like you that would be frustrated by a changing title and thumbnail every single time, right? Well, obviously, if you're angering your core audience, it's a bad move for you, right? Not to say that that's necessarily the likely case of what's going to happen here, but I'm just saying like it's an interesting like stress example that there's no universal advice here that would work for anyone. But what you did say in that anecdote is very intriguing to me about the indexing portion of the advice way back in the day, right? Because I think that actually speaks to, and you were getting at this, the core algorithmic change on YouTube as a whole, right? That really in the old days, tags were really important, not so important anymore. In the old days, the description was extremely important. Probably still important, but not as important in the past. And in the old days, the title was like the king. It was like the most important thing. Now it's not as important because it's kind of like that TikTokification of the YouTube algorithm. They know all of the words that you're saying in the video. They can analyze the actual image of the video. They know who's watching. They have so much data and like honestly, so much AI at their disposal that they're able to unpack so much more with the algorithm that they're able to now, it's like almost like a frill at this point, that this is just pure packaging for the videos and nothing else. Nothing for the search algorithm, nothing for the YouTube gods.
So if it wasn't for people like you or me having creator friends like share articles with me, sometimes I wouldn't even know about these new functions. And it's not because I'm lazy or don't take it seriously, but at the end of the day, I keep saying that, I think about the viewers. I just think about like what is good for them, and what they want is your video.
Yeah.
If you make a great video, everything else is a gimmick.
Yeah.
That could be the title of this thing. Because I've seen all these groundbreaking offerings from the product team, even tools at vidIQ or TubeBuddy that will optimize your channel and your video and do this and that for you. You know the people that succeed at YouTube the most? The ones that make the best video for the viewer.
Yeah.
If you do that, you always win, no matter if you A/B test or not. And that thing too, like, what if you A/B test two crappy titles? Does that make it better? No. It would only be if you test two really good titles, or a title that's really good and one that's experimental that you don't know if it's better than the other one. Does that make sense?
That does make
sense. So that's
sense.
what I mean. Like at the end of the day, universally, it could be gimmicky. But for individuals who are data minded, that look at that stuff, yes, it is. There's some people like complete artists and they're just all instinct, not saying that's the way to go, but because they are, the video is way better and it's more valuable. And as you mentioned, are you serving a core audience? Are you serving a audience that discovers you over and over and over because you're very topical? You're all about like the subjects, interests that people have versus, building, vlogging. That's what's kind of interesting about what I'm doing. You're converging the whole interested topic with a core vlogging audience together. Another thing that is interesting that no one ever thinks about. So I talk about the viewer and what do they care about in terms of deciding on a video. It's generally the topic, which you find out in the title. It's usually whatever's most intriguing in the thumbnail. Maybe the description. I remember back in the day, you can read a little bit of the description when you're doing a search. And then view count is one. Okay. Now, there's different seasons where they'll show a subscriber, but there's one piece of data that everyone sees that no one really talks about that right now is probably more important than ever. It was actually important in a different way back in the day. It's how long the video is.
Yeah.
So no one really talks about that because I don't know, it seems so passive and you can control it, but the video is as long as it needs to be.
Yeah.
Ultimately, that to me, I think has more weight than the perfect title or packaging because of what we talk about TV viewing. And so is it everything? No, it could almost be gimmicky as well. What I'm saying is it's all the above.
Yeah.
Use the title A/B testing, see if it works, but it's kind of the convergence of all those things put together. And this is the other interesting thing too. That, you know, for a while, the videos that I was using tags on were performing better than the ones I wasn't using tags on.
I didn't know that.
But is it because the tags are doing something, or is it because I'm thinking about the tags?
And that's creating a bit better video, a better context for
and
you
it's
to
creating
actually.
a behavior
Yeah.
as a creator for my next one.
Exactly.
I don't know. It's hard to say. And
Yeah.
so I don't look at this title A/B testing as a make or break function.
Yeah.
It's just a cool thing that you can test out if you have an experimental title. But it is just a gimmick to me when it's all said and done compared to the video's quality and what it does for the viewer.
I'll push back just one more time because I generally agree with you that the video itself is king no matter what. That's always going to be the case. In fact, that is why the number one statistic that YouTube promotes with both the title and the thumbnail is watch time, not click-through rate, which is like what percentage of people see your title, thumbnail, length of video and actually click on it, but how long those people end up watching, right? But without the click, they don't watch, right? And so this is one of the reasons why I think that part of the sort of idea here, if you are a creator, that you have to take account is what is your expertise and what do you have to learn from this, right? Are you using it as a crutch and making it so that you don't learn anything more about your titles and thumbnails? Or are you using it strategically, like choosing 3 very different thumbnails? You have 3 totally different ideas, 3 different titles. What are the combinations of those that show up for people? Which ones win as combinations? All of those kind of crazy things like that. That will help you get those views, which that can then turn into the things that show people that high quality video that you're talking about. And so that's why, and actually I hadn't thought of this before, but packaging is not, I think when people talk about packaging on YouTube, I don't know if Patty Galloway is the one that popularized this concept, but I know that he talks about it a lot. I think a lot of times people talk about that in terms of title, thumbnail, because those are the easy things. That's what you upload, that's what you choose. But what a lot of people don't talk about is that a packaging, if you think about it literally like a package at a grocery store, for example. If I go up to the grocery store, there's certain things on the shelf that are mandated by law that are on there. There are certain things that I'm sure that people in certain parts of the marketing department wanted. There's certain things in there that certain of the product people wanted and things like that. And so like if I go to Target, for example, and I see, I don't know, fruit leather on there, there might be this big, beautiful, colorful red box that shows the strawberries that they made it out of and like a product shot of it with nice packaging that they have. But then they also have the nutrition facts. And they also have the count of the actual fruit, you know, whatever rolls on there. It has the number of ounces and things like that, right? And when we think about packaging, we think about marketing, we tend to think about the box itself and the colorful wrapping and things like that. But the count and the calories on the nutrition label are often just as much part of the packaging as well, which is what is so interesting about your discussion of the length of the video, because the people who talk about packaging don't talk about the other things that show up. Your channel name, your channel logo, your length of your video are all 3 things that YouTube puts on there and are part of the packaging, but don't necessarily get discussed.
That is a determining fact if you're going to watch it or not.
That's
I know
exactly right.
I look at it and we talk about the TV viewers, right? These are
Yes.
the people that sit on the couch and watch or doing chores and listen or even just commuting. You don't want to keep changing the content or deciding on what you're going to watch next. There's something about, oh, it's a 30-minute video on the thing I'm interested in. I think about Genghis Khan and the Mongols, right? And there was a there was a 3.5 hour discussion about this on Lex Friedman, and for me that was gold.
Yeah.
I have to clean the kitchen for an hour. I want to actually not even push back. I want to reinforce what you said in an even simpler manner on the grocery store and products. Chips. Now we all know generally what we're going to buy when it comes to chips before we even walk in. Okay, if you're doing guacamole, you want tortilla chips, right? If you have the big party, maybe Cheetos. My kids, they love Cool Ranch Doritos. Okay,
Good taste.
without reading anything, without even picking up the bag as you're walking down the aisle, what's the easiest way to determine what bag you need?
That's a good question.
The size.
Oh, interesting.
If it's like a single size, like I think about
Yeah.
the single serving of hot Cheetos. I love hot Cheetos. It
Also
used to
good
be a
taste.
99-cent bag. It was, I say, and that's enough for 2 people. But as a kid that loved hot Cheetos, I could down a whole bag of that. If I'm buying for myself, I just know what that size looks like. I just grab it. Now, if I'm gonna have a party, you get the party size. It doesn't just say party size; it is party size. Okay, so think about that psychologically. How easy that is. You don't have to read how many ounces. Now, then it gets into discussion how like they work you. You open the bag and half of it's empty. By the way, that's another thing.
Yes.
That's important.
It is important.
Okay. But that size is important to make an easy decision.
Exactly.
So on YouTube, it's the same way. If I know I only have 3 minutes to watch something, I'm picking the 3-minute or less video or a shorts.
Yes.
Just like I would grab that single serving size of chips, hot Cheetos, because it's just for myself. Versus I got a whole hour to like just eat these.
Chow down,
Right? So I'm going to grab that party bag, okay, size video, which would be the 30-minute plus video.
Yes.
Okay. And now we're just nerding out on like this kind of like off thing. But ultimately why what's in the package matters.
Yes.
What if you open up that party bag and you notice it's half empty, which oftentimes chips are? You're going to be kind of let down.
Yeah.
Now, like everyone knows chip companies do this, okay? Because even the single serving, what's funny enough with the hot Cheetos, I always felt like I got a better value because it was pretty hefty. It was pretty like full and
got
whatever.
a dense feeling.
Yeah. And for reals, I
Yeah.
remember 99-cent bag of hot Cheetos was a good deal because it wasn't real chips. It's like puffed up chips versus like a corn tortilla, right?
Oh, yeah.
So like, anyways, why I bring this up is the packaging, what it says on it, all the numbers, or in this case, the size of it. What matters the most is what's inside. And if what's inside is a good value for what I'm paying, well, in YouTube world is for the amount of time I'm spending and the fact that I picked it, if the video is a good value, that's what wins. So you don't win YouTube from one video where there's one perfect title or another perfect title, and then this A/B testing is like gonna like make you a superstar. It's the follow-up for every video you upload and you building this core audience or subscribers that start like trusting you.
Yeah.
So every time you put it out, right? Every time you put out a bag of chips that looks this way and it's the party size, it's exactly what you expect versus like it getting more and more empty. Does that make sense?
That does make sense.
Because ultimately, even there's these chips you hear about that are horrible packaging, but man, it's full every single time. Guess what? Your other buddy who also runs parties, they're like, yeah, whenever I buy these chips, even though it looks kind of generic, tastes just like the hot Cheetos and it's completely full. It's only a matter of time before people start like understanding, oh man, let's not buy the name brand Frito hot Cheetos. Let's buy this generic one that tastes just the same. And they fill it up to the top. Yeah, and guess what? They just like, I think it's actually even better.
Yes.
You're going to buy that all day long. So the lesson is this for titles. I'm not trying to get the last word in. I want to hear your thoughts when I talk about this.
No, I think this is
The
the last word. I agree.
reason I say A/B testing is worth using, but ultimately a gimmick, because I feel some creators think this is going to make me successful.
Yeah.
It's just going to make you better. And it's going to make your videos potentially more clickable. But what do people care about? Not the title or the thumbnail. They only care about that on determining what they're going to click on. It's the video itself. We ultimately spend 99% of our time actually consuming the thing we watch or listen to versus the thing that we're searching for.